This time last fall, I was busy trying to recreate a sauce I made over the summer. This is the first sauce of my cinematic sauce series that is inspired by the movie Crazy Rich Asians. Join me as I get to work. Alright, so a couple weeks back, the first sauce I made this year, actually, I think it was the second sauce I made this year, is what I'm calling my Crazy Rich Asian sauce. I think I'm gonna name every sauce after a movie. And the reason why I called this one Crazy Rich Asian sauce is it, just like the movie, it has something from many Asian cultures. And I love the movie because it just, what's the best way to put it? It was like a Idiot's Guide 101 for folks to get introduced to Asian culture that's not stereotypical, part of the diaspora. Anyway, my sauce starts, it's got 3 different kinds of peppers, it's got different flavors from different locations, and what I started off with last time was shishito peppers. That's the base. Now, if you're like me, you're very particular about peppers. There's 3 different ways that I'm going to be putting them in here. One is boiled in vinegar for over an hour. Now, overcooked peppers have a specific flavor. Crisp, brand new, fresh peppers have a specific flavor. So do roasted peppers. So, a third of these beautiful peppers are going to be charred in this oven. A third will be boiled down and pureed in the blender. And then I have another third sitting in the fridge waiting. Here we go. They've already been weighed out. And they are waiting for the last step, which is they will be blended in once the sauce is all done and finished, cooked down so that you have fresh pepper, crisp little pepper bits in there that are hearty, that don't break down and get mushy in the sauce. This time I'm using a different type of rice wine vinegar. We're gonna boil it in the regular one, and then at the end add the toasted one, so we'll still get that toasted flavor in there. And of course we're adding regular pure sesame oil from Japan. This is the one, it's the only one you can really find locally here in Brooklyn. We're going to be adding lemongrass to give us some of that island flavor. We're going to have a little coconut oil in there. It's like a pepper factory up in here. We've got some Korean and Chinese peppers. Obviously they come from both sides, both regions, but they have different names and popularity in each country. Ooh, so these are starting to get wrinkled. I want to get the seeds from these. And there's actually 2 different kinds in this bowl. Now I used one of these in our peach sauce, and it had a lot of kick to it. And we'll be using these as well. Now I just have to get the names on the screen for you. These are shishito pepper seeds that I'm saving for this season. And yeah, I can't wait to get into it. It's as simple as possible. For our ratio last time, what we meant to do, and we forgot until the last second, was a 50-50, 1-to-1 ratio of white vinegar to water plus salt and sugar. What I'm going to do is a 1-to-1-to-1 ratio of rice vinegar. And just to make it simple, I'm going to just reuse this bottle for the measurement. I refilled this with water, so 1 bottle of water is now being added. Regular white vinegar. Get things started, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of fresh, ground, organic lemongrass that I made, and it's amazing. I mean, that's the equivalent of like an entire bundle of lemongrass right now. I'm also going to add, whoa, don't spill it. It's hard to do with one hand. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of the extreme basil that I made, also from the farm and organic. And that includes Thai basil, sweet basil, chocolate basil, Italian basil, Jeff Bezos, no. But again, some island flavors in there, lemongrass, basil. I'm also going to add, because we will be adding some oil anyway, but I have this really awesome lemongrass oil that I made. I infused it, and just so we don't waste our powdered lemongrass, I'm just gonna put 2 more tablespoons of that lemongrass oil in here while it boils. We will add more later to taste, but this is just to get us started in the cook. And I forgot to put the salt and sugar in. Look at that beautiful lemongrass powder. It's so beautiful, so bright green. I love it. Adding a 1/4 cup of white sugar, organic, and that's just for the cook. We'll add more later to taste. Later though, I might use the new blue agave that I bought instead of white sugar, because at a certain point you just become super saturated. I don't think we will run that risk with this, but you never know. And for salt, I'm adding the last 1/4 cup of soy sauce. After we boil this down, when we're adjusting for taste, I will add regular salt because it will be unflavored, like a blind salt, I'll call it. Same with white sugar. It adds like a blind flavor. So we're going to give this a quick stir and bring it to a boil, and then bring it to a boil and reduce to simmer. Love that noise. That wrapping noise is annoying, but it just makes me think of, grandma in the kitchen. All right, we're turned on, we're up high, and we're good to go. Shishito peppers give us the flavor and the base of the sauce. These give us our heat. You can see I was able to get some of these out. I'm going to throw like 2 or 3 of these in the roaster, but overall, these are really for heat and less for flavor with this sauce. So I'll go ahead and drop a couple in. And I'll save these 4. I'll put them in our roasting oven on the bottom tier. All right, they're very small and I don't want them to shrivel up into black nothing on the top rack. All right, time to rinse and repeat. Reached a boil, so now reduced to simmer, we're going down to about a 3. And turning the fan on because of the vinegar smell. And we got 43 minutes to go. All right, 11 minutes are left. Whew. The smell is strong, it is intense. I think a lot of water cooked off. Wow. So we're gonna add 1/4 cup of ginger paste. Ginger is not ready on the farm, so we don't have any yet this season. I'm also going to do a whole head of garlic and 2 very small onions. These are just regular, I guess, yellow onions. And more, green onion will get done later. The reason why I saved some of the peppers and some of the work towards the end is Asian cooking. Oftentimes what we get in America is extremely fresh, especially like Thai food. It's very fresh. It's not like sitting all day cooking. That doesn't mean there aren't recipes that do that. It's just a lot of the ones in America are more like fast food that we get and that we're used to. With like recently tossed in ingredients, not overcooked ingredients. So I'm saving some of that for the very end, which will be like our spring or green onion flavor, which is really big part of the Asian profile, more than these regular onions. And I'll probably add some more garlic too. So that's just gonna cook down for the last few minutes, and just to round it off, I'll make it 15 minutes. Cover that up, and then over here, I'm gonna go ahead and set this to 15 and start it on high and let those roast. And I'll come back and check on the top rack. If they're nice and charred, maybe I'll just remove those. Maybe I'll flip them over, we'll see. Time just ran out on both. And oh wow, it smells so much different. Smell-o-vision right here. It really cut out the acidic, like, it wasn't pungent. I don't know the word, but like, it was very caustic, but to your nose. The second you opened it up, it was just a punch of vinegar right up your nostrils. And now I think that like the onion and the garlic and all that kind of smoothed it out, because it doesn't burn to like take a sniff right now. But I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off and let it cool a bit. It's gonna go in the blender. The peppers have stopped, but not completely charred. So I'm going to flip some of them over, because that taste is amazing in the sauce. You can really taste some of the charred peppers in there. Here's a better look at those peppers. I mean, I'd be happy with some of these on top. It's just, you know, got to get to that second layer. So the best way to do this is some of the milder looking ones I'm going to flip over and let them stay for a second round. Some of them which are smaller, you know, maybe they'll get another hit. A little bit of a hit. And then we'll go again. I flipped the racks. The little rack that was underneath, I took it out and sat it on top. And the peppers that were already charred have been flipped over. And now these little guys, which were on this rack, they've gotten a little wrinkled. I don't want them to go too far, so again, I'm gonna put them back underneath on the bottom rack. These above that will be hissing and spitting out juice on top of them, so they won't dry out too much. And now that I've put that rack on top, it'll be way too close to the top here, the heat source, which would really cook these. So I have this awesome extension level, goes on here, and now when I put the top on, it lifts it up higher, so it's still at the same level if it had been without the extension and that little top rack was underneath. I think it would be awesome if I got 2 more racks, the small ones, which I should, and I can layer one underneath and maybe another big one actually on top that would go around this small one. If you notice, the layer down here is a little bit wider, so that could sit on top, and I could have 4 racks cooking in one time. All right, we're gonna do another 10 minutes, not 15. Should come up here, cook time, 10. It's already set to high. These look amazing, and I'm just gonna start moving them directly into the blender. Not the blender, the Ninja. Getting pretty good with these tongs. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky. Ooh, I could hear all the air coming out of them, all that juice. Now that it's cooled a bit, you can see the sauce, and it looks awesome. Ooh, it smells so great. And these peppers look awesome. I'm gonna pour in some sauce and start blending it up. Now in terms of volume, I know it looks like it's less than what we had last time because actually I didn't record last time. Anyway, last time it took about a blender and a half to puree all of this. It's taking less this time because I still haven't added the additional bottle of rice wine vinegar and water. I also haven't added a third of the peppers, which are still in the fridge. So we will still have to do it. I will still have to do it in cycles. This has just had a quick pulse. And right now it does have the consistency of the sauce currently in the fridge. And which is good because when we add more liquid, it'll get liquidy and then it'll thicken up again. But anyway, let's go for a taste test. Okay. Tastes very similar. Definitely needs, it's got enough heat. It's got a lot of seeds in it. So I do want to see if I can skim some of that out. Especially our pepper skin, which is in there. More lemongrass oil. I think the vinegar will make it real nice. Yeah, we're on our way. We're getting there. And I'm rounding this off with 4 more tablespoons of lemongrass oil. I'm adding it on this end, not the cook end, so that the flavor's there. And it needs oil anyway. And that goes in the fridge for a couple days with the rest of the hot sauces that are sitting. 4-layer fruity pebble cake. Finishing up now. Only available for pickup. Okay, so our sauce sat for 3 days. I'm running it through a sieve. I am doing a much larger batch than last time. And look at all these seeds. This bowl, this sieve was full. So beautiful sauce down there. The sauce I made in the first batch has pepper skin and pepper seed in it. It's just, whoa. Still salvage that. It's just not nearly the same volume. So I'm just gonna let this continue. I'm gonna use our rice wine toasted sesame to rinse out the blender, get all that flavor and goodness out of there, and then pour this into the sauce. All right, look at that. It's like, it feels like a pound or two of byproduct. I wish there was something I could do with this. For now, it's just a million seeds and shishito skins. So I won't even put that in the compost because the last batch of compost I have, we got a bunch of surprise involuntary pepper plants, which is what started this whole journey, was the 30 plants that popped up in my compost when I was trying to grow something else. Anyway, this was all run through the sieve, and just look how beautiful the sauce is. And all those little beautiful dots in there that are crimson. It's like an orangey red. That's gonna be our base. I'm just gonna puree in there some tons of green onion, add a little oyster sauce, and our fresh shishito peppers that are crunchy, and we won't be removing the skin from them because we won't be heating at this point. Really wish I had my food processor, but I'm gonna go ahead and mince all these, possibly by hand. Look at those minced peppers. God damn, my hands hurt. All right, a full head of garlic minced. It's getting added to our pile of peppers, tossed with some salt, and they're gonna sit for about an hour. And time to dice up the green onion and add that to the mix. Adding 1/3 of a cup of oyster sauce and 1/3 of a cup of ponzu. I just added a tablespoon of lemongrass powder, 1/2 tablespoon of the extreme basil, and 3 tablespoons of sesame oil. And those are all getting mixed in there. That's all I have for you folks this time, but be sure to subscribe so you can get updates on my next adventure in cinematic hot sauce. Until then, folks, as always, keep growing. By the way, rumor is that Crazy Rich Asian 2 is on its way. I can't wait, and in the meantime, I'm going to be exploring Filipino and Malaysian food to come up with another sauce.